Welcome back to IGN's E3 live show, beaming to your brains from e3.ign.com. And sorry, but we totally lied about doing Forza right now. We're going to need more time to gas up those cars. Instead, we're going to take a look at the new Halo. To celebrate its 10th anniversary, Microsoft is remaking the original Halo with shiny new graphics and features. So let's throw it over to Hill now and see how it's shaping up.
Thanks, Naomi. So we're here to talk about both Halo Anniversary and also Halo 4, both of which were announced at the Microsoft press conference yesterday. I am joined by Frank O'Connor, who is the franchise director for Halo. Thanks for coming on, Frank.
Thanks for having me.
So it's the 10-year anniversary of Halo on November 15th. You know, it's not just the anniversary edition that you guys are coming out with. What are you guys doing to celebrate this momentous moment?
Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff lined up this year. Obviously, the big ticket item is Halo Anniversary itself. Releases November 15th, $39.99. Remake of the campaign with new graphics layer and 7 multiplayer maps. But we also have the Halo Fest, which we're hosting at PAX this year at the end of August in Seattle, and it's going to be a huge Halo festival. And we'll be able to talk a lot more about Halo Anniversary there. People get to play it, and we'll talk a little bit more about Halo 4 that time too.
Very cool. So before we dive into Halo 4, let's talk some more about Anniversary. So when you say that this is kind of a, I guess when you come to do a remake of something like Halo, there are two approaches, right? One is, do you take the original Halo and kind of give it the Reach treatment, or do you keep the purity of the original Halo, and that's kind of what you guys chose to do, and why make that decision?
It was a complicated decision to make. There were a lot of moving parts, and I think that ultimately we figured the number one most important thing was campaign should feel like the original campaign. The remarkable thing about it is it hasn't aged. You pick up that controller now, especially with the new 360 controller, it feels like a modern shooter. It feels like something that came out yesterday. And we wanted to make sure that that didn't change to the extent that we added the flashback button so you can press the back button and see exactly what the graphics looked like 10 years ago. Multiplayer was the hardest part. I think a huge amount of people wanted the original multiplayer engine just with netcode. There are a ton of factors that I just don't have time to go into here that made that not impossible, but beyond the pale in terms of how it would have changed the feel of the game and how we'd have had to balance the multiplayer ecosystem on Reach and not split that. So there was a lot of thought went into it, and so hearty apologies to people who wanted the former, but I think they'll be pleased with the latter.
But the good news is at least you can play the campaign with online co-op.
You can, online co-op, and obviously people are going to be playing it for nostalgia, but they're hopefully going to be playing it for the new graphics too.
Cool, and probably maybe I think the coolest thing about the anniversary is that there are some new things, let's be honest, and there's
a lot of new things. So we've announced a few of them. We have terminals which add some new story to the game. We have online co-op, obviously. There's a bunch of stuff we haven't talked about yet. Some of it smaller than the features we have announced, but things that will make hardcore fans really happy as we announce those in the future.
Maybe even the addition of skulls so I can play the Halo I want to play?
There will definitely be ways to make the replay experience much more interesting, put it that way.
Cool, and then of course, the big announcement at the Microsoft press conference is Halo 4, Master Chief is back.
Yes.
Can you remind people where do we leave off after Halo 3?
It depends if you finished on normal or legendary, right? So if you finish the legendary ending, you'll have seen the Chief frozen in cryo sleep, approaching at the very end a very, very mysterious and dark world. We pick up not exactly where that left off. Some time has passed between the events of Halo 3 and the beginning of Halo 4, and a lot of things have changed. A lot of people have noticed some things have changed in that intervening period.
Absolutely. Can you give us any hint, I guess, at what kind of structure Chief was headed towards at the end of that trailer?
I think the safest thing for me to say is it's not human.
Fair enough, and you guys are confirming that this is going to be a brand new trilogy, so new 3 set of games.
It's a brand new trilogy, AAA giant Halo experiences, just like you would expect. And there's a huge team of people working back at 343 Industries and have been working for years to make this happen, so shout out to those guys back at the ranch who are doing real work.
And I mean, that's probably the biggest change of all, right? Bungie is no longer working on Halo. It's gone into the hands of 343, so what can you say to people who maybe might be worried that the transition will be rough or that it's not in the original maker's hands?
I think people understand that the core gameplay that Bungie implanted in that series is so strong that you'd have to deliberately break it. Hopefully Anniversary will give people a glimpse of how much respect we have for that. And the rest of it, it's just got to be delivery. You can't say, oh, just bear with us and buy our game and we'll be just as good. It's got to be in the delivery and the execution, and there's, believe me, a lot of talented people back in Seattle working on that right now.
Cool. So for Halo 4, I guess the big question is going to be, I looked at it and Master Chief definitely looks like his armor is a little bit busted up, and I noticed his cod piece is definitely broken off. What horrible things happen in stasis to this guy?
So a lot of people are talking about that. So there's some story that's behind his new look, but also there's the sort of interpretive part where you're just moving things forward. But there are some specific reasons why he looks the way he does and why some of his behaviors have changed. So they'll see in good time.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for talking to us about a Halo Anniversary and Halo 4. So we just spent a little bit of time getting caught up on Halo. Don't forget, this is the 10-year anniversary of Halo, so there's going to be Halo Fest at the end of August, coinciding with PAX, and you can get the Halo Anniversary Edition November 15th. And then, of course, there's this little game called Halo 4, which you may or may not want to pick up in 2012. I'm going to guess you want to pick it up. We've been talking to Frank O'Connor, and we're going to go hit it on over to Naomi again.
Thanks a lot, everybody. If you like that demo, be sure to follow at IGN on Twitter and send us a tweet. Okay, so Halo may have done a ton of explosions, but it's got nothing on our next game. Look up scientists. Miss Explosion Man is about to wreck shop.